Imagine, if you can, the brutal winter of 1944. Across France, 1,500 civilians found themselves plunged into a blackout month, facing temperatures plummeting to a life-threatening 15 degrees C. No coal, no gas, absolutely no electricity. Sounds like a death sentence, doesn't it? But they didn't freeze. Not a single one. Why? Because these ordinary people facing extraordinary circumstances reached back through history, resurrecting a Roman-era secret. They turned a simple shovel of dirt and an old cooking pot into a smoke-free radiator, burning nothing more than a handful of pine cones. It sounds like something out of a forgotten fable, but it's real. And it worked. By the time you finish this, you'll not only understand the ingenious mechanics of how they pulled it off, but also why such vital techniques mysteriously vanished from army manuals, and perhaps most importantly, how you can build the very same thing this afternoon, using only junk most folks would just kick to the curb. World War II wasn't just a battle fought with bullets and bombs. It was a relentless, grinding war against the elements, a brutal campaign against the cold. On the Eastern Front, where the mercury often plunged below 30 degrees, 20, the cold itself became an enemy as formidable as any opposing army. It wasn't just discomfort, it was a weapon of mass destruction. Engine oil turned to a thick, unyielding jelly, immobilizing tanks and vehicles. Artillery jammed, weapons misfired, and even fuel supplies froze solid, rendering much of the German war machine utterly ineffective. Medics on the front lines recorded amputations for cold injuries at triple the rate of gunshot wounds, a stark and horrifying testament to winter's merciless grip. Soldiers faced hypothermia, frostbite, and the constant, soul-crushing struggle to simply stay alive against the elements. Number 1. The thermal trench. Let's talk about a hack that sounds almost too simple to be true, yet it saved countless lives on the freezing front lines and in desperate civilian shelters. The thermal trench. Picture this. You're not digging a grave for a body, but for a chimney. Soldiers, with nothing but shovels and raw determination, would carve out a shallow trench, typically about 8 inches wide and 10 feet long. This ingenious channel would start discreetly outside their dugout or shelter, snaking its way underground and emerging beneath the very center of the floor. But what's the magic trick here? Instead of letting the smoke and heat escape directly, they'd lay scrap pipe or even clay drainage tiles end to end within this trench. The crucial next step was to pack the entire top of this subterranean conduit with damp earth, effectively burying the chimney. At the far end, poking through the wall, a simple coffee can or scavenged tin became the exhaust, a tiny, almost invisible chimney. The genius? A tiny, almost imperceptible fire lit at the mouth of the tunnel. This small flame didn't just produce heat, it created a draft, pulling air, heat, and smoke down the pipe and through the buried trench. Now, here's where physics becomes your best friend. The clay and soil surrounding the pipe weren't just insulation. They were a massive thermal battery. They absorbed the intense heat from the passing smoke and gases, soaking it up like a sponge. Then slowly, steadily, and silently, this earth mass radiated that warmth upwards, turning the entire floor of the dugout into a giant smoke-free radiator stone. The flames? Completely hidden below grade, offering warmth without revealing a telltale glow to enemy spotters. The smoke? By the time it reached the coffee can exhaust, it had cooled and dispersed, making it virtually invisible. One armload of twigs, carefully fed into the system, could keep a bunker warm for 6 hours with zero visible smoke. That's stealth, efficiency, and survival all rolled into one. Think about the implications. No glaring firelight, no plumes of smoke giving away your position, and maximum heat extraction from minimal fuel. The system wasn't just about comfort, it was about tactical advantage, about staying alive. For the soldiers, it meant less frostbite, better morale, and a fighting chance against the brutal cold. For civilians, it meant a warm, safe space in a world turned upside down. Number 2. Oil drum stove walk onto any battlefield or through a bombed-out city during World War II, and you'd find them everywhere. Empty 44-gallon fuel drums, discarded husks of the war effort. To most, they were just junk, but to a resourceful GI or a desperate civilian, they were raw material for survival. The oil drum stove is perhaps one of the most iconic, albeit rudimentary, symbols of wartime ingenuity. The transformation was remarkably simple, yet profoundly effective. Soldiers, often with nothing more than a bayonet, would cut a door into the side of a drum. Bolt holes were punched, not for bolts, but to serve as makeshift grates, allowing air to circulate and fuel to rest. For a chimney, they'd scavenge whatever they could find, often lightweight scrap aluminum from crashed aircraft, bent and screwed into place. The first load of pine scraps, dry leaves, or whatever combustible material they could find would bring the thin metal surface of the drum to a dull, comforting red. This wasn't about elegant, long-lasting heat. It was about instant, intense warmth. It was enough to boil coffee, dry a platoon's worth of perpetually damp socks, and take the brutal edge off the cold for a group of exhausted men. Yes, the metal was thin, meaning it cycled heat incredibly fast. Warmth would arrive in minutes, but it would vanish just as quickly once the flames died down. But that was precisely the point. This wasn't for continuous heating. It was for those precious, fleeting 30-minute rest breaks, a sudden burst of life-saving warmth before moving on. Civilians, too, quickly adopted and adapted the design, with variations popping up in barns, basements, and refugee shelters across Europe. They burned wood, coal, and even scavenged rubbish, making the most of whatever was at hand. These stoves were smoky and far from efficient by modern standards, but they were a lifeline. They turned freezing dugouts and dilapidated rooms into places where weary individuals could thaw their boots and find a moment's respite. Today, this hack remains incredibly relevant. A food-grade drum can be picked up for $10 at almost any rural feed store. Add a $3 damper, a simple metal plate to control airflow, and you've got a garage heater that can easily outperform a 1,500-watt electric unit, all while your power meter sits dead. Just remember to use it safely, ensuring proper ventilation to avoid carbon monoxide buildup. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the most effective solutions are the ones born from necessity and a bit of elbow grease. Number 3. The fat burner. In a world gripped by war, where butter was rationed to a mere 2 ounces a week, every single drip of fat, every bit of grease rendered from a frying pan, became an incredibly precious commodity. It wasn't just about flavor or cooking. It was about survival. Soldiers and civilians alike would meticulously collect these precious drippings, saving every last drop in tins. This wasn't waste. It was future warmth. The fat burner is a testament to this extreme resourcefulness. The design was disarmingly simple. Take a tin, puncture its lid, and thread a strip of cotton shirt or any scavenged fabric through the hole to create a wick. Light it up, and you've got a miniature, portable heat source. Soldiers would then park this unassuming can under a mess kit, turning a few tablespoons of rendered animal fat into a critical tool. The science was elegant in its simplicity. 1 tablespoon of tallow, for instance, could burn for a remarkable 20 minutes, generating heat at an impressive 200 degrees C. That's more than hot enough to warm a pint of stew, making a meager ration far more palatable and, critically, to warm a pair of gloves, staving off the agony of frostbite. The flame itself was often nearly invisible, a significant perk in blackout conditions where any visible light could draw enemy fire or violate strict curfews. This wasn't just about a bit of comfort, it was about maintaining basic function. Warm food provided crucial calories and morale. Warm hands meant soldiers could still operate their weapons, medics could tend to the wounded, and civilians could perform essential tasks in unheated homes. Number 4. Earth oven, dugout. When you hear earth oven, you might think of baking bread, but during World War II, it was a vital tool for staying warm and preserving life. Think of a Dakota fire hole, that incredibly efficient low-smoke cooking pit used by indigenous peoples, only scaled up and adapted for heating an entire shelter. In the harsh, unforgiving landscapes of North Africa, where nights could be bitterly cold despite the desert days, troops faced the constant challenge of staying warm without giving away their position. Their solution? A shoulder-deep pit, often dug right into the ground. They'd line this pit with bricks, scavenged from bombed-out chimneys or any available rubble, creating a heat-retaining chamber. Across the top, they'd lay scrap sheet metal, forming a ceiling for their improvised oven. The process was simple yet brilliant. They'd light a small brush fire inside the pit, letting it burn for about an hour. The bricks, acting as a powerful thermal mass, would absorb and store this heat. Once the fire died down and the bricks were thoroughly heated, they'd seal the opening, often with something as simple as a scrap of parachute or a large piece of canvas. The enclosed space, now a subterranean heat battery, would then slowly radiate warmth. The results were life-saving. The enclosed dugout space could stay above 15 degrees, 59 degrees, all night long. This wasn't just about comfort, it was enough to keep water from freezing, preventing dehydration, and crucially, to protect delicate radios and other equipment from cracking in the extreme cold. For soldiers, this meant a genuine chance to rest, to recover, and to protect vital gear, all without the smoke or light that would betray their position. Translating this ingenious hack to a modern backyard survival scenario is surprisingly straightforward. Imagine digging a similar pit under a tarp lean-to. Instead of scavenged bricks, you could use a stack of landscaping bricks. Heat them with a small twig fire, cover the pit securely, and then climb into your lean-to. You'd find yourself sleeping comfortably for 8 hours, perhaps without even needing a sleeping bag rated for the task. It's a powerful demonstration of how understanding thermal mass and basic heat transfer can transform a cold, exposed environment into a survivable, even comfortable sanctuary. Just be sure to ensure proper ventilation to avoid carbon monoxide buildup if you're burning anything inside a sealed space, even briefly. Number 5, clay tile thermal wall. Amidst the devastation of bombed-out Naples, where homes were shattered and conventional heating was a distant memory, families discovered a silent, lightless, and remarkably effective way to stay warm. Their secret lay in the very rubble around them, cracked roof tiles. Terracotta, the material of these tiles, possesses a fantastic property. It absorbs and stores heat efficiently. Its specific heat capacity means that 40 pounds of terracotta tile, once heated, can store enough energy to act like a 1 kilowatt radiator for 2 hours after the flame that heated it has been extinguished. The method was elegantly simple. Civilians would collect these broken clay tiles and stack them tightly against interior walls. Behind this makeshift wall, they'd place a small controlled heat source, often a sterno heat tin or a small improvised burner. The tiles would slowly absorb the heat, becoming warm to the touch. Once the heat source was removed or burned out, the terracotta would continue to radiate that stored warmth back into the room for hours. This was a godsend during blackout curfews. It was silent, produced no light to attract enemy bombers, and, crucially, needed no chimney, eliminating the risk of smoke detection. It was a passive, subtle warmth that made a critical difference between enduring the night and succumbing to the cold. For modern apartment dwellers, or anyone facing a similar scenario where open flames or traditional heating aren't an option, this hack is perfectly adaptable. You can pick up cheap terracotta pavers from any hardware store. Pair them with a small methanol stove, like a fondue burner, or even a few sterno cans. Stack the pavers, light the stove behind them for a period, then extinguish it. The resulting thermal tower can stand discreetly in a closet or against a wall, radiating gentle heat through the night, even when the landlord kills the boiler or the power goes out. It's a quiet, unassuming testament to the power of thermal mass and resourcefulness in the face of adversity. Number 6, Sardine, can pocket stove. In the unforgiving realities of wartime, every ounce, every scrap, every discarded item held potential. Even a humble 1-ounce ration can, especially a sardine tin, could be transformed into a micro-furnace, a pocket-sized lifesaver. This ingenious hack, often called a hobo stove by modern ultralight backpackers, has its roots firmly in the field notes of 1943. The construction was brilliantly simple. Soldiers would punch a ring of vent holes around the base of the empty can. Inside, they'd insert a tightly coiled strip of cardboard, scavenged packaging, a piece of a ration box, anything that would absorb fuel and act as a wick. Then, melted wax, often from salvaged candles or even animal fat drippings, would be poured in to saturate the cardboard. The resulting burner was compact, efficient, and incredibly discreet. It could last for 40 minutes or more, providing a small but vital flame that fit comfortably in a coat pocket. For paratroopers, dropped behind enemy lines with minimal gear, these micro-stoves were indispensable. They used them to heat morphine syringes, a critical medical necessity, and to melt snow for drinking water, a fundamental act of survival. This wasn't about heating a room, it was about targeted warmth for critical tasks. A warm drink, a heated meal, the ability to sterilize a needle, these small acts could make the difference between life and death. The minimal smoke and light produced were also crucial for stealth in hostile territory. Today, this hack is a staple for ultralight backpackers and emergency preparedness kits. Imagine a cold morning in camp while everyone else is still fumbling with propane tanks. With a single candle stub and a tuna can, you could have your morning coffee hot and ready. This isn't just a quaint historical trick. It's a practical, low-cost, and reliable method for generating a small, controlled flame when modern conveniences fail. It's a powerful reminder that even the smallest, most overlooked items can hold immense potential for survival. Number 7, Kang-style heated platform. Our final hack takes us far from the battlefields of Europe, drawing inspiration from the ancient wisdom of northern China. Imagine a heating system so efficient, so simple, yet so profoundly effective that it warmed entire homes with just a fistful of twigs. This is the Kang, a raised, hollow clay or brick bed, traditionally found in Chinese homes, with a horizontal flue running underneath. During World War II, Chinese refugees in Manchuria, facing unimaginable hardship, shared this vital knowledge with U.S. airmen. These airmen, facing brutal winters and a lack of conventional heating, quickly learned to build their own versions using readily available materials: bricks, mud, and whatever scrap they could find. The principle is pure genius. A small fire, often fueled by nothing more than a few twigs, pine cones, or even shredded boots, what we call fuel agnosticism, is lit at one end of the flue. The hot gases and smoke from this tiny fire are then drawn through the hollow channels beneath the sleeping platform. The thermal mass of the bricks and mud absorbs this heat, and then, slowly and steadily, radiates it upwards, warming the entire sleeping surface. A fistful of twigs could warm an entire sleeping platform for 6 hours, providing deep, penetrating warmth that could mean the difference between a restful night and a night of shivering misery. The brilliance of the Kang lies in its incredible fuel efficiency and its ability to provide long-lasting, radiant heat. It transforms minimal fuel into maximum comfort, utilizing the principle of thermal mass to its absolute fullest. Today, this ancient design offers a powerful solution for off-grid living: tiny homes, greenhouses, crawl spaces, or cabin lofts. You can build a miniature version, creating an off-grid radiant bed that needs no complex copper piping, no glycol, and no noisy pumps. It's a system that works with the most basic materials and a deep understanding of heat transfer. Imagine a greenhouse where the warmth from a small wood stove is channeled beneath raised planting beds, keeping your plants thriving through cold nights. Or a cabin where a simple mud brick sleeping platform keeps you cozy with minimal fuel. It's a testament to how ancient wisdom, when rediscovered, can offer elegant, sustainable solutions to modern challenges. Number 8. Modern safety check. Before you get too excited and rush outside with a shovel, a can of Crisco, or a stack of old tires, let's hit the brakes for a moment and talk about something critically important: safety. Remember, the ingenious folks who devised these wartime hacks didn't have the luxury of carbon monoxide alarms. And while their ingenuity was boundless, their understanding of invisible, odorless dangers was, by necessity, limited. Carbon monoxide, CO, is a silent killer, a byproduct of incomplete combustion that you can't see, smell, or taste. Even though many of these hacks are designed to be efficient with minimal smoke, and some even claim zero visible smoke, any form of combustion produces CO. And physics, my friends, demands respect. So if you're thinking about replicating any of these brilliant, life-saving methods, and we wholeheartedly encourage you to learn and prepare, you must prioritize safety. Always ensure robust ventilation for any combustion air. This isn't optional, it's non-negotiable. For earth trenches, make sure you seal them with at least 6 inches of damp clay. This helps contain combustion gases and directs them to your designated safe exhaust point. And perhaps most crucially in this modern age, always keep a battery-powered carbon monoxide detector nearby, and make sure it's tested and working. Place it near your improvised heating source, but at least 15 feet away from fuel-burning appliances to avoid false alarms. These hacks can produce low CO levels because they burn small and hot, maximizing efficiency. But a small leak, a blocked vent, or an improperly sealed system can quickly turn a resourceful solution into a deadly hazard. Don't gamble with your life or the lives of those around you. Learn from history, prepare for the future, but do it safely. Your life depends on it. All right, if this journey through forgotten history has given you a newfound respect for what your grandparents or even great-grandparents might have tucked away in their proverbial junk drawer, then it's time to take action. Don't just watch. Become part of the movement to reclaim this vital knowledge. Smash that like button with the force of a wartime hammer and share this video with that one friend who still thinks survival requires a 4-figure propane generator. Let's show them that true resilience is built with ingenuity, not just expensive gadgets. And here's a challenge. Scroll down to the comments right now. Tell us which of these incredible hacks you're planning to build this weekend. Are you going to dig a thermal trench in your backyard, creating a stealthy, efficient, radiant heater? Or perhaps you're eyeing the clay tile wall, a silent, beautiful heat battery for your home. Post your plans, share your ideas, and I'll personally pin the most creative build photo. Let's see what incredible things you can accomplish with a little resourcefulness and a spark of that timeless World War II ingenuity. For too long, the world has whispered a comforting lie. That warmth is a commodity, something that comes solely from a thermostat and a monthly bill. But history, with its chilling grip and its undeniable truths, proves otherwise. With nothing more than humble dirt, scavenged scrap metal, and rendered animal grease, ordinary people, under the most extraordinary pressures, stared down Arctic blizzards and kept their children alive. They didn't have the luxury of convenience, they had the necessity of survivals. Their solutions weren't complex engineering marvels, they were elegant acts of defiance. They didn't need permits, didn't explode in a fiery spectacle, and, crucially for those living under enemy eyes, they didn't leave a telltale smoke trail for enemy spotters. What they needed, and what they found in abundance, was ingenuity. And that, my friends, is a currency that never inflates, a resource that can never be truly exhausted. Grid or no grid, in the face of the next unforeseen crisis, the next ice age, whether literal or metaphorical, the true survivors won't be those with the most gadgets, but those with the most gumption. The future will still fear a human with a shovel, a spark, and the forgotten wisdom of those who came before us. This isn't just history. It's a blueprint for resilience, a powerful reminder that the capacity to adapt, to innovate, and to thrive against all odds lies deep within us all. It's time to remember. It's time to prepare. It's time to reclaim the warmth